We have a profound topic, and we have an incredible guest speaker who walks the walk, talks the talk, and fortunately or unfortunately lived the life. And her name is Aryn Quinn. She's an entrepreneur. She's an author. She's a speaker, and she's a giver. She really is. Aryn, you're a go-giver. You just always jump in. When I think of survival, I immediately think of you. How do we keep it all going when life is really difficult? We need survivors, really, to help us and help people who aren't seeing the pitfalls they're falling into, maybe blind or unaware or unwilling to really open their eyes.
At the end of the day, we are responsible for the choices that we make. We have to show up. But I can guarantee you that when you show up, whether it's surviving an abusive relationship, an abusive childhood, whether it's surviving cancer, whether it's running, a Fortune 500 business, when you show up, you will find the people who will help you, because we just can't do it alone. And I really feel that that's a big component of your podcast. This is about not doing it alone. This is about listening and hearing other people's strategies and figuring out how that might work for you. And this is the way we all make it, is when we show up for each other.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Elevate Wellness. I am Lisa D. Murphy, and I am excited, really excited to be with all of you today. We have a profound topic, and we have an incredible guest speaker who walks the walk, talks the talk, and fortunately or unfortunately lived the life. And her name is Aryn Quinn. She is she's an entrepreneur. She's an author. She's a speaker, and she's a giver. She really is. Aryn, you're a go-giver. You just always jump in. When I think of survival, I immediately think of you. And this podcast, for those of you who are new to this platform, it's for highly effective people whose lives go a million miles an hour, and in all the domains, in family and relationships and health. How do we keep it all going when life is really difficult? And we need survivors, really, to help us and help people who aren't seeing the pitfalls they're falling into, and they're even maybe blind or unaware or unwilling to really open their eyes. And Aryn, I've heard you speak so many times. I mean, you've jumped into one of my trainings like the night before and got on stage and shared your story. And there's just so much we can talk about. And I want to talk about, first of all, thank you. You just moved in your new house 3 days ago. And here you are. And there's so much that I want to capture on this podcast, but a lot of us are sending our kids off to school right now. Some people for the first time. And it's really scary. There's a lot of stuff that happens. There's a lot of stories we hear about in college campuses and dorms. And I just want to, if we can help just one person to open their eyes and be aware of how insidious abuse is and what can happen. Your story is so incredibly compelling. It's heartwarming. And I want to kind of start from the beginning. Can you tell the audience who you are, leading all the way up to newly being a cancer survivor?
Oh, gosh.
And a survivor in every sense of the way. So would you kindly share your story with everyone?
Oh, I would be honored. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I can't even express to you how joyful I feel being a part of your podcast. I can't think of a better way to bless this new home than a podcast on wellness and surviving and how we can help each other. I will say this. I don't believe that anybody has ever done anything alone. Hey, puppy.
You'll always hear them barking in the background at the most inappropriate times.
No, that was appropriate. I was just saying nobody gets anything done alone. And your dogs went, yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah, it does not happen alone. At the end of the day, we are responsible for the choices that we make. We have to show up. But I can guarantee you that when you show up, whether it's surviving an abusive relationship, an abusive childhood, whether it's surviving cancer, whether it's running, a Fortune 500 business, when you show up, you will find the people who will help you because we just can't do it alone. And I really feel that that's a big component of your podcast. This is about not doing it alone. This is about listening and hearing other people's strategies and figuring out how that might work for you. And this is the way we all make it, is when we show up for each other. Did you know that you coined a new term back there? You said you're a go-giver. That was a new, that I said, wow, that, because you go-getter, right? But a go-giver. I just want to bookmark that. That was so profound and amazing. And here we are in this podcast, we're going to go give. So I survived a great deal of child abuse, which is also shared in my book, Dying for Love, What Everyone Needs to Know Before the First Kiss. And then that set me up for adulthood without the ability to see red flags. So when you grow up and every flag is red, you don't notice them. That's the norm. That's just a normal day. It's not a good day. It's not a day that you like, but that's your normal day. So for me, being in a relationship with someone who's telling me what to do and not really loving me, but loving what I can get for them or do for them or make them feel was just normal. That was my role as a child, to navigate having, a severely narcissistic, abusive couple of parents. My job was to be quiet and do the best I could to merit being alive in the house. So why would I grow up knowing that someone saying, I don't want you having lunch with Lisa, she's this and she's that, and shaming me for, loving a friend and wanting to spend time and not wanting to make life difficult or not wanting this person to stop loving me. So, okay, text message to Lisa, hey, I'm really sorry. I just can't make it. I'm not going to say to you because my boyfriend doesn't like you and doesn't want me to go out, because that's humiliating. And I don't want to lose you as a friend, but I'm going to lose you as a friend anyway, because the 8th, 9th, 10th, or 11th time that I'm not showing up, you're going to either think, okay, well, she's a jerk, or she doesn't really like me, or she's too busy for my friendship. And what you won't know is that I'm home and I'm alone and I'm suffering and I'm scared. And maybe the person is also violent and I don't want to be hurt, or maybe I don't want my children to be hit or hurt or see mommy get hit. So it's just easier to just not have lunch with Lisa. And those are the little decisions that we make. And by the way, any gender. So I'm speaking as a woman with a woman, but for anybody listening, if you are a human being, the Centers for Disease Control release statistics every couple of years, and they're staggering. And I guarantee you, Lisa, know someone who's been abused. Yes?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And I guarantee you that everybody listening right now, I'm going to ask for invisible hands up. Which of you listening knows someone who has been controlled, belittled, gaslit, isolated? These things all add up to abuse, even if there's never any shred of physical violence. Human beings can commit incredible violence emotionally, incredible psychological violence, devastating financial violence. I was at a seminar, this very invitation only Harvard business women, and the president of president, a very important woman, shared with all of us that in her first marriage, she was so controlled financially that she would save pennies and nickels And when she had enough, she would buy herself a lipstick at the drugstore and then hide the lipstick so she wouldn't have to explain where she got the money for the lipstick. This is a Harvard PhD doctor, fill in the blank, talking about wanting so badly not to rock the boat, not to start a fight, not to have her children suffer, that she's hiding pennies for a lipstick. That's domestic abuse.
Aryn, when did you start to realize this is not okay and I deserve help? Because I think some people realize this is not okay. I remember going through so much pain in my life, and it was around the age of 19, and waking up and saying, you shouldn't want to wake up every day wishing you would die that day. There's something not right. I need to go get help. And I remember the moment. I remember walking to a library because we didn't have the internet. So I remember the moment saying, this is not okay. When did you?
That's a great question. That's a wonderful question. And it's pretty straightforward too. You nailed it on the head. This is not okay. The next step is, then it is what, right? So where a lot of us fall is we say, this isn't okay. And then we just stop there. We don't have the training or the schooling or the book or a good friend to say to us, not only is this not okay, this is abuse. Because not okay, you found the strength. You had that inner wisdom at 19 to say, not only is this not okay, I need help. A lot of us we know it's not okay, but I have to make breakfast in the morning and I've got to get to the gym and I have to go to work and it's not so bad today and it wasn't really bad yesterday, so maybe it won't be so bad tomorrow. So we have to move beyond that's not okay and say, and?
So it's the justification. What? It's the realization of I'm justifying. And to really.
So it's not okay and I need to get help and I need to leave and I need a therapist and whatever it is in your life. I'm poor and it's not okay. When you are succeeding in life, you take the next step and say, and? Because there needs to be an action following up the realization that it's not okay. That's the first step. But if you stop at the first step, you never get to the top of the mountain. So just because you're on the mountain doesn't mean you're going up. So you've got to go beyond, it's not okay. So my moment, and this is really, and I share this in my book, and I'm so glad you asked me. This was really interesting. So I founded this nonprofit. I felt like there was a void in my community. How could I fill that void? I wanted to be there supportive for survivors of domestic abuse, especially women and children. And I really thought, like, well, what can I do? And so I started doing it. And I formed a not-for-profit and I got a board and blah, blah, blah. And I started doing, going into shelters and bringing in these hands-on services and volunteers, because women and children in shelters, their number one feeling is shame and embarrassment. I remember we brought in trauma-informed yoga. I don't like yoga. I know it's really great. I'm terrible at it, but I went, right? Because you're the executive, director, you got to go. So I'm there and I'm doing this yoga with survivors in a basement room and with like a couple of like little kids in there too. Anyway, so we're doing yoga. And one of the women just started crying. And what I remember about this moment is that nobody ran to hug her and stop her from crying. It was like everyone knew, like, let her cry. And so our silence and our stillness was our support. Like, go ahead, do what you got to do. And she said, this is the first time that I've allowed myself to have any feelings. I just stay as busy as I can so I don't have to feel what it's like to be here. And after a few, I said, what is it like for you to be here? She says, I know what people think of me, that I'm a loser. you know that I'm not a good mother. We let her have those feelings. And I said, you're such a winner. What a winner you are. You left the comforts of home. You left everything you know, and you came to live in another city, in another state, in a tiny room with your children so that they could grow up safe and happy and not be scared at night anymore. I said, I have only admiration for you. We're in the winner's circle. So I share this story for a couple of reasons. One, to share, what that can look like for some women, but also my aha moment. So here I am running a not-for-profit to help survivors of domestic abuse, but I'm not a survivor. That never happened to me. This was my mindset. That happened to my mother, right? That happened to my mother. My mother, I remember holding her saying, Mommy, don't cry. It's going to be okay. So I was the little adult, which is another pre-indicator for a person who might wind up in an abusive relationship because you're the caretaker at a young age. And so it's just what you do. So you have a person who's abusive and you feel sorry for them and you're just going to take care of it. You're going to make it better. You're going to fix it. Anyway, so I'm running this not-for-profit and my mother is the person who was abused. So this was my answer. Why, Aryn, did you start this foundation? Because of my mother. Anyway, I found this test. And if you check 3 or 4 more of these boxes, you are in an abusive relationship or you are a survivor of an abusive relationship. And I decided to take the test just because it was important for me to know what the test was like. And I start checking off the boxes. Wait, I'm a survivor? Wait, those relationships, I know they were hard and they hurt and I felt lucky to get away. Lisa, I sat down on the floor and cried. The first tears were complete shame. I didn't realize how stupid I am. I thought I was smart. Oh my God, I'm stupid. I think that was the worst thing. No, it was the worst thing. I'm stupid. I thought I was smart. And then embarrassment. And then I can't tell anyone because no one will ever love me again. Now, this was 20 years ago, but this was how I thought.
Well,
I'm so stupid. I'm so ashamed. Who's ever going to love me now? Such a loser, even though I'm helping everybody and I don't feel that they're losers. I'm looking at their life circumstances thinking, well, this could happen to anybody, but anybody didn't apply to me. Once I took that test, it changed everything. I became an educator because the only thing that separated me from someone who, hadn't gone through it was 2 things, which is a childhood that really set me up for it and a lack of education. So I wrote the book and I created the workshop that I wish that I had had when I was 12, 13, 14, 15, 28, 32, whatever, because it's never too late to learn the 8 signs, to learn why it is so very difficult to leave, to learn what it feels like when you do, to know what to expect, and to then thrive, to really live your best life. I researched and I asked so many questions. I sat down with so many survivors and listened to their stories, and they weren't different. They were all the same. And it didn't matter if it was a woman with a PhD graduating from Harvard Business School, or if it was someone who grew up in the Bronx with 6 or 7 brothers and sisters below the poverty line. Is all exactly the same.
We talk about on this show all the time, everything is mindset. It's what happens here. And it's the self-talk. And it's not the public identity, it's the private identity. And if the conversation is, I'm guilty, I'm shameful, I'm a loser, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not smart enough, I'm not, that is the first that's the big red flag. That was my red flag. Like, it's not normal to talk this way to anyone. Why do I talk this way to myself? And I remember hearing something about it. And there was, just so much in that internal dialogue that led to really bad behavior, just all the things that we do to keep us really small. And we can't make a difference in the world. We can't be highly productive in all the domains. We can still be financially successful. We can still be look really good on the in a compartment. We can be perceived as successful. But if the whole wheel of our life is out of balance and we're not successful in love, in loving ourselves, right? That relationship first, in our finances, in our relationships, with our health, if all those, and that includes mental health, physical health, emotional health, in all of that, those areas of well-being, it starts with an internal dialogue. And then what you said, and the action, the willingness to be in a support group, to read the book. I started, it was a book on a shelf. I pulled a book off of a shelf and I checked it out of a library. And I remember not wanting to check out the book because I didn't want the woman behind the desk
to see and make a judgment about you. But you know what? This is the difference between staying in the dark and stepping out into the light. First of all, shame is endemic. Everybody has it to some degree, some of us more than others. We have to realize that it's just a part of us. It's a part. It's not everything. There's so much more to us than feeling ashamed or feeling not big enough. And staying small is actually a default survival mechanism. I did a tremendous amount of research on the neuroplasticity of the brain and why we stay small, how shame we think protects us, but it's a double-edged sword. It protects us and it keeps us in the closet. So if I want to go in the closet right now, I can just close the door and turn off the light and I'm very safe, but then I'm not on a podcast with my friend Lisa Murphy talking about exciting things in life. I'm not writing a book. I'm not touching anybody. Nobody's touching me, but I'm not touching anybody either. And if that's a choice that's the best choice that somebody can make in a moment, God bless. At some point, you have to realize I can do better and I'm going to be okay. I can do better and I am okay. Even if I'm scared, I'm okay. Even if I'm ashamed, I'm okay. Even if I make a mistake, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. And you're okay until you take your last breath. And even then, I believe we're okay. Somebody's there for us. I have been through so much in the last 2 years. I cannot even tell you.
No.
This podcast episode isn't long enough to tell you some of the things that I have been through in cancer treatment that are so horrific. I was okay, and I am okay. I'm fine. It was awful, but I'm fine. You get out of the closet, you turn on the light, you check out the book.
Mm-hmm.
If someone judges you, they're only talking to themselves. That's a big thing that I learned. Everything that I could ever say to another person is what I really think of myself. So whether it's positive or negative, it's just self-reflection. So if the woman, the librarian has a funny thought, that's how she thinks funny about herself. She doesn't like herself. If we let what people think of us stop us, we're all just going to live under a rock. And I think that is the continental divide. Over here are the people who are stopped. What's everybody going to think of me? And over here are the people who go, I don't like it. Some of us are really bold. We're like, I don't care what anybody thinks of me. I'm like, God bless those people. I'm not one of them. But I know people are going to say bad things about me and think bad things about me. I'm going anyway. one of the biggest challenges writing this book was, what are people going to think of me? And I had to make decisions a lot saying, I know that people are going to say terrible things about me. I know someone's going to put a review on Amazon saying, whatever, she's an idiot. I've read better. That's not my interest. Those people mean nothing to me. It's the people who are writing to me and saying, I gave this book to my daughter, my cousin, and my aunt. God bless you. Thank you. That's who it's for. So for everybody listening on your podcast, whether you want to like open a cupcake shop or write a book or be the CEO of your own company, everyone is going to talk smack about you. People are going to think things about you. The difference between people who are on CNN or who are best-selling authors, they said, I don't care, I'm doing it anyway.
Well,
I'm doing it anyway.
Because people are going to talk about us no matter what. It doesn't matter.
No matter what,
so
Mama.
It doesn't matter. You don't need to be quote unquote successful. People are still we're humans. We're going to have judgment. We have opinions, and that's it. And it's, is this feedback, because it's only feedback, is it valuable to me? And if it is, then I apply it. And if it's not, I kind of think, wow,
is
that, I've trained on stages forever and ever. And I would start, like, there's probably so many people listening right now that are saying, I heard her say this. And I will get up on stage and I will say, how many of you right now are talking about in your heads, my hair, my shoes, what I'm going to say? Is it going to be that you're going 1,000,000 miles an hour judging me? And I was always that person because it was so easy for me to sit as a student with so much life happening in my life as a young girl with undiagnosed ADHD. It was a lot.
That's brutal.
And you just think you're really dumb. And no one knew. And I wasn't hyperactive and I wasn't any of the things that label like the bad kids. But I remember just judging everyone else because I couldn't really deal with my stuff. And then when I really started in full blown deep work, the work, the gut wrenching work, I didn't have 2 friggin' minutes to think about anybody else because I was so in my own work that you're almost working. Oblivious. You're everywhere you look, the teacher is appearing. Everywhere. They come in all shapes and sizes and forms and in messages. And when I got past that jail cell that I was in, and I started to do that deep work because I realized it's not normal to want to die every day when you wake up, and started mostly in groups, a lot of group therapy until I was then coaching in big groups.
That's really courageous. That takes a lot of courage to be in a group.
And young. And I didn't really fit in the rooms that I was going in. I didn't look the part of the other people. And I did it anyway. And I did it anyway. And I did it anyway. And then years later, when even now people call me and they tell me stuff about me and I will say, why are you telling me this? Do you think sharing this information makes me feel good and makes me want to do more of what I do? Or are you secretly hoping to take me out? Or is it your own shit that you're not willing to look at? Because there's no value.
I think mostly it's their own. This is a hard thing to understand. There are people. There is a chapter in my book that is called Everyday Evil. So we're not talking about mass murderers. We're not talking about the Unabomber or Ted Bundy. We're talking about people who will call you up and tell stories about you from way back in the day, who will secretly, truly delight in taking a little wind out of your sails and making you uncomfortable, they are doing it on purpose.
And
it took me a long time to realize that they are doing it on purpose, and they do feel good doing it. Is it good for them? It's not good for them.
no.
But for a moment, it feels good. Look, we're all looking to either feel good or not feel bad. I feel that this is like a very basic, right? I really want to feel good, and I definitely don't want to feel bad. And for some people, feeling good is making you feel bad. That is abuse. I feel so much better when you seem upset and scared and nervous. That's abuse. Not only is it not okay, it's abuse. A friend doing it to you is still abuse. Even if the friend loves you and they've done good things for you, it doesn't mitigate or take away that need to take you down for a minute or an hour or a lifetime so they can feel better. Other people feel better when they make other people feel better. Other people make people feel better when they make people feel worse. Who are you? Pick a lane. But just know who you are in the world.
Right?
And just own who you are in the world. Look in the mirror and say, I'm a person who contributes nothing but pain, and that is my superpower. Know it. Or look in the mirror and say, I'm a person who I thrill to other people's happiness. Their joy is contagious, and whatever I can contribute to it, wonderful. And you're that person. I think it's subconscious, but when it comes up in conversation, I realize how powerful this drive is for me. There's going to come a day, which is going to be my last moment. And I know not a lot of people believe in this, and I don't share it with a lot of people, but I did come very close to dying. And I did have a very spiritual moment. And it happened in 1994 in a car accident on a small road in Italy. And I was thrown through the windshield. I broke many bones in my body, but more than that, my aortic arch tore, and I should have died right then and there. And I didn't, but I should have died in the ambulance on the way, but I didn't. And I didn't die for the 2 days I was in the hospital telling, Italian doctors, fa male, it hurts in my chest. And finally they checked it out and said, ah! And called in, the head of surgery. And I had open heart surgery in 1994.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, every doctor, as I go through life and you get a new physician, you have to write down your history, and they look at it and go, ooh, you're really lucky to be alive. Should have died. And I did have a moment. And in that moment, it stuck with me. I remember as clear as I'm sitting here looking at your beautiful face. Please let me do what I said I would do. Please. I don't even know what that was. But from that moment, I felt that my life had meaning. I didn't know what it meant. And I didn't figure it out in 10 days. It took me a couple of decades. But how do you want to spend that last moment? Do you want to say, I did what I could, and what I could do was good. I did what I could, and what I could do was pretty good. I'm good. Or do you want to say, God, I was awful.
Yeah.
I didn't contribute anything but misery.
Yeah. And how many people, after those, they realized, God, I was that really mean person. I was horrible. I said bad things to people. I did bad things to people, and have turned their life into being a go-giver and helping others, and lifting that shade so people can actually see clearly. And it doesn't matter for everyone listening. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter. It matters where you're going. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. It's over. It matters this moment and moving forward in anything, in business. And those, I always call that low vibration, the people that just for no reason, just don't want you to succeed. The crabs in the bucket. and they don't know any better. And I talk about this all the time. If you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket and a crab tries to climb out of the bucket, the natural instinct of the other crabs is to pull the crab down and save it. And I remember wanting to climb out of a certain social status. I wanted to do that. I remember wanting to leave a marriage and I had, 3 children. I remember wanting to relocate and moving to, away from where my roots were and my mom and and all those changes. But you didn't do that if you were a really good young Catholic girl. You didn't do that. You kind of stayed where you were and you sucked it up. And I remember the crabs in the bucket, the things that people said to take me out. And there wasn't physical abuse. Nobody came and ever punched me in the face, but boy, did they punch me in the gut.
And, I love that analogy. And I feel that I've learned something. I've learned a few things over the past couple of years. I love the crab in the bucket analogy. And I would really like to share that you've got to get out of the bucket and save yourself first before you can turn around and put a claw in to save somebody else. Save yourself first. And once you're out and you're good, sometimes you can't go back to that bucket. You got to go find a new group. But share how you got out. Tell all the other crabs, okay, whatever you do, don't put your biggest claw backwards first because you're going to slip right back in. I highly advise you, look for a dry spot in the bucket. Mm-hmm. I feel genuinely that success in leadership is, I went down this path, I broke my leg, I got really hurt, I got screwed up. So but I'm out now and I'm really good and my legs are strong and I'm going to turn around with my light and I'm going to flash it backwards so you all can follow. Mm-hmm. And don't trip. Don't step on that route right there. No, do not make a left. Just that's what you do. You turn around and you shine your light back and you go, this was the way. Follow me. And even in following somebody, it's important to know, okay, someone's shining you a light and showing you where to go, but sometimes your path is a little different too. Just because somebody says A, B, and C are right, you can say that it might be right for you, but now as I'm walking, I feel like X, Y, and Z is a little better for me. And go do X, Y, and Z. You take in advice, but nobody knows everything, and we're all a little bit different. And I learned a lot of that through cancer treatment because a lot of things were done that were very bad for me. And I had to speak up for myself. And once I spoke up, people said, oh, we could do something else. Why didn't you offer that to me? That's just not how we do it. For everybody listening, people love you. People will help you. At the end of the day, this is really true. You have to love yourself and take care of yourself. This is a very tiny example, but maybe it will. When I was going into this chemo suite, they kept putting me in the same room and there was a very harsh overhead light and it was freezing in there. And there was a nice little soft light, right? And the light was broken. And I said, can somebody come in and fix it? And they said, well, you have to put in a rec order. And what I realized right away was this could be weeks, before they fix this light. And it was so freezing cold. There was something else going on in the room too. It was just, and I showed up the next time. I had a plush double wide electric blanket and I brought this beautiful lamp that I loved from my house. And I brought in a tripod for my phone so I could watch something to distract myself from the poison going in my arm. And I brought my own food because they have food there, but it was so bad, Lisa. So I brought it, Anyway, people were walking by my room because I left the curtains open. I wanted to see out into the floor. People were asking how do I get that in my room? Who do I talk to? And they were like, oh, she just brought it in for herself. Show up for yourself. If you are cold, bring an electric blanket. If it is dark, bring your own light. If the food is terrible, pack a lunch. Take care of yourself. Ask questions. Say, I don't like this. Actually, this is a really big takeaway. And I know you will get this because you had to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You didn't just wake up one day. Lisa Murphy, the woman you are today, took effort, tears, struggle, fear, fight, go and go and go.
Loneliness.
Oh, come on. Nobody ever, I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter if you're, Oprah Winfrey or the president of the United States or whoever it is that you say that you look and go, wow. None of them will say, it was so easy and I loved every second of it. Mm-hmm, yeah.
And I never cried and I was never tired.
Oh my God. So, okay. So it was the first day. The nurse comes in and it's a 6-hour day. It's like a lot of different chemicals. And oh, what? We're up. Time is up.
Yeah, we have 5 minutes.
Wow. Okay, 5 minutes. All right. So I'll just share this very quickly because you're focusing on wellness and caring for yourself. And I really feel that I want your listeners to know that you have to be your own best advocate. So the nurse came in. She was a very nice person. She put in the IV and this, everything started going in and it was very painful. It hurt. It hurt so badly. And when I asked her about it, she said, well, it shouldn't. Okay. Now, I don't want anyone to hate me or be mad at me in the chemo suite because they need to save my life. So I sucked it up for about 4 hours and the pain got worse and worse and worse. And then my arm started to swell up. And I called her in again and she said, well, it shouldn't hurt. And I said, okay, but it does. So I'm going to ask you to please take this out. She goes, well, I'm going to have to do it all over again. Oh. And I hate needles, Lisa. And I hate needles. And I said, you're going to have to do it all over again then. And I said, and I want you to leave me alone for half an hour because I need to pull myself together. And I would like you to send somebody else in. Good. She gave me this dirty look, but you know what? It's my body. This is my arm. This is my life. She left the room. And they came in a few minutes later and I said, I asked for a half of an hour, so please come back in a half an hour. Thank you so much. They came back in a half hour and they put it into a different arm and it was fine. But this arm is permanently damaged because I sat there for 4 hours and I let it happen because I was so afraid of someone being angry with me or that I was being a baby and not speaking up for myself. You best believe I spoke up for myself for the whole rest of my treatment. That hurts. That's not good. Can you redo this? You have to speak up for yourself. You have to love yourself. You can only love everybody else as much as you love yourself. It took almost dying for me to recognize that love is my right. The world wants me to be loved and to give love. And because you saw my posts, that I asked people on Saturday morning at 11 a.m., please put your hands together and don't say, please let Aryn not die from cancer. That's not the kind of prayer I want. Just think, gosh, Aryn, I really love you. God, I really love you, Aryn. Just give me 30 seconds of that. And the feelings that came over me of peace, serenity, love, a kinship with everybody saved me. So if wellness, the biggest part of wellness is speaking up for yourself and asking people for what you need. And if what you need is a big dose of love, hey, can you just send me love? Ask for it because people are more than happy to do that for you. And that really is the definition, I think, of wellness is asking for what you need and being there for other people to give them what they need, because each one of us has the power to lift each other up. There's always going to be a crab that has the power to, but there's always going to be that Lisa Murphy crab that can turn around and say, you can't imagine what I've been through, but let me tell you, and pull you right up.
I love it so much. So Aryn, when we talk about loving ourselves and it's about, we have to do that first. And then that connection with others. You talked about, you can go sit in a closet and, have this conversation, but it's when you get out. And I know from my children, I know from my friends, I know from the, tens of thousands of people I've spoken to over the years, that it is in that connection with others when we ask that we are able to receive. And whether we receive energetically, whether we receive physically, it's really getting comfortable with that connection. And I will go out on a limb right now and say, I feel there's a lot, but the demise of our future generations right now is the lack of connection. And when I sit and I talk to my kids and I say, why are we going to another wake or hearing about another child, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, who committed suicide? Why is this happening? They always say the same thing. Mom, people feel like they have no one to listen. They have no one to talk to. And this podcast is all about that. We all have people who will listen. And it's when we ask and we love ourselves first and we're able to continue to give and to see someone and listen so generously that they hear, I matter. And Aryn, I want to thank you. I am buying that book and for gifts for all the people that I know right now who don't think there's hope, who don't know of another way. And I want to thank you for writing it. I want to thank you for 3 days after you moved in your home, getting on this podcast and sharing your story. You know that I love you dearly. And
I absolutely adore you. I feel like just no time goes by between the times that I do see you and speak with you. It just always feels like it was just the other day, which is the definition of true connection. And if anybody's listening to this and they feel that they're alone and there's nobody that they can talk to, there's always someone. It could be a stranger on a park bench. There's always someone. If the person you're speaking with or you reach out to isn't the one, move on to the next. Find your Lisa, find your Aryn, find your person. There's a person out there. Talk to a dog, talk to yourself. Open up a book and just start writing down, you know what I think, you know what I feel. Look in the mirror and say, okay, you're the only person I can talk to. You're the only person who's going to listen to me. There is connection out there. Just put your hand and your heart out and you have it. And podcasts like this are proof that your people are waiting for you. We're waiting for you. Turn on the light, come out of the closet. It's going to be okay. We only make it together.
I love that. Aryn, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for listening. I know this was a very, it was intense. It was intense and needed. And a lot of people are going to have a lot of reflection about their lives right now. And once again, I am Lisa D. Murphy, and this is Elevate Wellness. Thanks, everyone.